So imagine you are looking through a telescope, right? And you expect to see the usual cold, empty vacuum of space.
Yeah, the mechanical clockwork we are all so used to.
Exactly. But instead of that, you see these giant swirling eggs just sitting in this sort of cosmic henhouse. And the edge of our universe isn't some infinite void. It's actually a high energy crust functioning exactly like the spinning metal drum of a giant magnetic motor.
It immediately shatters the neat little scientific boxes we usually rely on to categorize reality.
Right.
I mean, we are stepping into a theoretical landscape today that fundamentally rewrites the architecture of everything around us.
It is a massive paradigm-shifting journey. Welcome to today's deep dive. For you listening, our mission today is unpacking a deeply fascinating, highly unconventional cosmological framework by an author named Sweffing.
Right.
And I want to set the table right off the bat. This is not standard astrophysics. We are looking at a unique philosophical map that attempts to merge quantum physics, deep spirituality, Buddhism, Taoism, and the concept of a greatest creator into one single, unified theory of everything.
And before we venture into this architecture, we really need to establish our parameters. The sources we are exploring today contain incredibly complex, overlapping views.
Oh, yeah. Very complex.
They blend hard material science with heavy religious and philosophical doctrines. So, to be completely clear with you listening, we are not endorsing these concepts as objective scientific facts.
Right.
Nor are we taking sides on any of the spiritual or religious claims. Whether you lean strictly toward empirical science or deeply toward the spiritual, our goal today is just to impartially explore the internal logic of this specific worldview. We want to understand how this author physically and philosophically structures reality on the page.
We're purely putting on our explorer hats today. And the terrain is wild. We're going to look at how this framework physically shapes the universe, which involves those swirling eggs and motors I mentioned. We'll examine the delicate, terrifying balance between what are classified as the positive and negative universes. And ultimately, we'll unpack why this worldview argues that your life on Earth, including your morning commute and your daily stresses, is quite literally just a temporary stay in a cosmic hotel.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. But to grasp the heavy philosophical and spiritual implications later on, we first have to build the physical map. We need to understand the structural foundation of this framework.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, it starts with a very specific definition of what a universe even is. In this architecture, a universe isn't just everything that exists.
Right, which is how we usually think of it.
Exactly. Here, it is strictly defined as a space where positive and negative energies perfectly balance out to reach absolute zero.
Absolute zero. Okay.
Yeah. If you have perfectly balanced matter and antimatter, you have a universe. But the framework immediately splits this concept into two distinct categories. You have the large universe and the small universe.
Okay, so let's start with the big one.
So the large universe is the overarching container. It is borderless, it's limitless, and it doesn't operate on cycles. The author actually uses the mathematical symbol for pi, 3.14159 continuing infinitely, to symbolize it.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's vast, eternal, and completely unquantifiable.
Precisely. But practically speaking, we don't live in the large universe. We live in a small universe.
Right, and small universes are they're relatively secluded, independent, rotating spaces nested within that infinite large universe. The imagery used here is wonderfully organic.
It really is.
They're compared to individual swirls in a massive river where each swirl maintains its own internal rotation, or like individual eggs sitting in a massive henhouse.
It moves the listener away from the concept of a sterile, cold vacuum, and it is something that feels almost biological, like it's alive. And our specific egg in this cosmic henhouse is categorized as the Earth universe.
Which is absolutely not a sphere.
No, definitely not.
The Earth universe is shaped like a taiji oval. So picture the traditional Chinese yin and yang symbol, the taiji diagram, but pulled out into 3 dimensions, like a thick spinning saucer.
Yeah, saucer is a good way to picture it. And the outer edge of this oval is covered by a crust made of high-energy clouds.
And this is where the mechanical imagery perfectly overlays the organic, right? Because that crust of high-energy clouds doesn't just sit there passively.
Not at all. It functions like the stator of a motor.
Wow!
Yeah, a stationary magnetic field that literally drives the spin of everything inside the rotor. It's an active propulsive barrier pushing everything inside the Earth universe to continuously rotate counterclockwise.
So we are essentially living inside a giant cosmic washing machine, and the outer drum is constantly agitating, spinning everything inside this Taiji oval.
That's a great analogy, actually, yes.
And the interior of this spinning oval is deeply, incredibly nested. So the Earth universe itself is called a law rotary galaxy.
Hmm.
And inside that, there are almost 3,000 rotary river galaxies. Inside each of those, almost 3,000 Milky Way systems. And inside each of those, almost 3,000 solar systems.
Which establishes a profound sense of structure.
But hold on, I have to stop you there. Because 3,000 rotary rivers, 3,000 Milky Ways, 3,000 solar systems. I mean, this is starting to sound less like an astrophysics map and more like a mathematical fractal.
It doesn't like that, yeah.
Is this framework literally counting out exactly 2,999 solar systems, or is there something else going on with this specific repetition?
That's a great question. It's much more symbolic. If we connect this to the broader landscape of Eastern philosophical texts, the number 3000 is a classic philosophical trope.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In traditional Buddhist cosmology, for instance, there are frequent references to the 3,000-fold world system.
Ah, okay.
So it's not an astrophysicist with a clipboard making a literal tally. It's a numerical shorthand for immense, unfathomable, yet perfect order. It communicates to the reader that the universe isn't a byproduct of random, chaotic collisions.
It is profoundly, intentionally organized down to the deepest nested levels.
Exactly.
It's a way of expressing a mind-bogglingly huge but perfectly structured number. That makes total sense because deliberate order is the entire backbone of this cosmology.
It really is.
Which brings us to how things physically move inside this cosmic washing machine. Because the Taiji oval is spinning, driven by that magnetic stator crust, the celestial bodies inside are in motion, but their speed isn't constant.
Far from it. The rotating speed of a celestial body changes entirely based on its geometric location within the Taiji oval.
Because it's an oval.
Right. Because it's an oval, it has a short axis across its narrow middle and a long axis stretching from tip to tip.
And here's where the mechanics get incredibly interesting for you listening. When a celestial body moves onto the short axis, its rotating speed reaches absolute maximum.
Yeah, it really speeds up.
And as objects approach this short axis, the spatial distance between them increases. They spread out. Meaning, from the perspective of someone living on a planet during this phase, the universe appears to be rapidly expanding.
To understand why, you can think about fluid dynamics. Imagine a wide, slow-moving river suddenly being forced through a very narrow gorge.
Okay, I can picture that.
The water has to accelerate dramatically to get through the choke point, and as the water speeds up, the particles pull apart from one another.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In this framework, the short axis of the oval acts like that narrow gorge. The celestial bodies accelerate, and as they speed up, the sheer velocity pulls them further apart from their neighbors.
So it is a highly creative way to explain the observable astronomical phenomenon of our expanding universe, but attributing it purely to the geometry of the oval.
Exactly. And right now, our Milky Way system is supposedly floating toward this short axis gorge.
So we are speeding up, and things are pulling apart. But what happens when the planet shoots out of the gorge and hits the long axis, the extreme, sweeping tips of the oval?
Well, the speed drops. In fact, the celestial body completely halts for a short time.
Wait, like completely stops moving?
Completely stops. And when it halts, all physical life on that celestial body dies.
Wow. Okay.
The spiritual body of the dead life then enters what is called the negative pole of the Taiji oval. This period of stall and death is called one kalpa.
A kalpa?
Right.
Mm.
Kalpa being an ancient Sanskrit term representing a vast, nearly immeasurable period of time. An eon.
So it's a long stall.
Very long. During this terrifying halt on the long axis, the spiritual body stays in the negative pole. Then eventually, gravity catches the planet again. After passing the long axis and continuing the rotation, the spiritual body exits the negative pole, enters the positive pole, and returns in the form of physical life.
So it's literally a cosmic roller coaster.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your planet is the train car. You fly through the curves of the short axis at maximum terrifying speed, where everyone is pinned to their seats and objects are flying apart. But then the car climbs to the absolute highest peak of the track, the long axis, and it completely stalls.
It just hangs there in dead silence.
That stall is the kalpa, the dramatic cycle of death before the car is pulled back down into the sheer drop of rebirth.
And during this cycle, the celestial bodies themselves undergo permutation and combination. The roles swap.
What do you mean?
Well, in the next cycle, Earth might become a desolate desert landscape like Mars currently is. And Mars, having rested, might become a lush planet teeming with life like Earth. They trade places based on their mass and their time spent stalled on that long axis.
Okay, so if our Milky Way is currently moving toward the short axis, the fast lane, does that mean we're relatively safe from this terrifying Kelpa stall for a few million years?
Well, you're never truly safe from the Kalpa. This architecture is built on constant, inevitable cycles. The halt of the long axis is a structural necessity of the universe. The stall is just as important as the speed.
Right, and when the physical body dies on that long axis and the spiritual body enters the negative pole, it crosses a profound boundary.
It really does.
It crosses from the positive universe to the negative universe. And this dichotomy is, I think, the most mind-bending concept in the entire framework.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Let's map what those two realms actually are, starting with the positive universe, which is associated with lever rotation or left-rotating energy.
Okay, so the positive universe is the physical world. It is everything tangible and empirical.
The stuff we can touch.
Yeah. If you can see it, touch it, hear it, or measure it with a scientific instrument, it exists in the positive universe. Houses, plants, wind, atoms, infrared rays. The physical world is strictly the domain that can be explained by material science.
But the framework also places things we typically consider massive scientific mysteries into this positive category,
Yeah.
like dark matter and dark energy, for example.
Right. Because they exist in the form of elementary particles. Even if we don't fully understand their behavior yet, they are firmly classified within the physical positive universe.
Which makes sense within this logic. I mean, dark matter is still matter, it's just elusive. But then the framework takes basic, fundamental concepts that we consider the absolute bedrock of physical reality and throws them into the mystical negative universe.
Yeah, this is where it flips. The negative universe is associated with dextrotation, or right-rotating energy. It is the anti-world.
The anti-world.
It contains supermatter and intangibles. It is everything that cannot be measured, weighed, or felt by instruments, but still fundamentally dictates the material world.
And what's in this anti-world? Universal repulsion, time, space, spirit, consciousness, and the soul. Also belief, laws, spells, God, Buddha, heaven, hell, and the zero world.
Just look at how radically this flips our everyday understanding of reality.
It's massive.
To conventional science, space and time are the physical fabric of the universe. They are the canvas that reality is painted on.
Right.
But in Xifeng's framework, time and space are entirely non-material. They are grouped alongside ghosts, angels, and the Elysium. They aren't the physical canvas. They are illusions created by consciousness.
Which leads to a massive reframing of what we call superstition. Because usually when science can't explain something, society just dismisses it as superstition.
Exactly.
But this worldview argues that when science tries to explain things beyond the material realm, like consciousness or the nature of time, it fundamentally stops being science. It crosses over into super science or anti-science.
Yes.
All religions and so-called superstitious beliefs are reframed not as primitive falsehoods, but as advanced super science trying to map the negative universe.
And here is the core philosophical anchor for all of this. The material world is merely a reflection, a shadow cast by the anti-world.
The shadow. Wow.
The negative universe is the true origin of all matter. Everything in the positive material world is constantly decaying, changing, and dying. But everything in the negative universe exists in a relatively eternal, stable state.
Okay, so if you have these two completely opposed realms, science and super science, left-rotating and right-rotating, tangible and eternal, how does reality not just tear itself apart? I mean, how does a universe contain these two massive, fundamentally incompatible forces without exploding?
Well, it does it through the central law of the universe, which is the unity of opposites.
Okay.
Yin and yang, black and white, life and death. The framework argues that each extreme depends entirely on the other for its very existence. You cannot have the positive without the negative.
A great example of this from the text is gravity. So universal gravitation pulls matter together, but it is paired perfectly with universal repulsion, an equal and opposite force pushing matter apart.
Right.
These two opposing energies form what is called Buddhist power. And this Buddhist power maintains the total energy of the universe at absolute zero.
A good way to think about it is like noise-canceling headphones.
Oh, I like that.
So you have the chaotic sound wave from the outside world coming into your ear. The headphones generate an exact inverted anti-wave. And when this sound wave and the anti-wave collide, they cancel each other out perfectly.
creating a localized pocket of absolute zero energy.
Yes, which you experience as perfect silence.
That is exactly what's happening here on a cosmic scale. If one wave wins, the silence breaks. If gravitation exists without repulsion, all celestial bodies stop rotating, move in a straight line at ultralight speed, and crash together in a singularity. The universe instantly collapses.
And if there is only repulsion without gravitation?
Everything flies apart in straight lines, expands instantly, burns up, and the universe dies. The absolute zero energy, the silence of the noise-canceling headphones, is the only thing that allows existence to happen.
And brilliantly, this exact same dynamic is mapped onto human society. Science and superstition are presented as two cultural forces with equal power and mutual repulsion. They total zero energy.
Oh, that is fascinating.
You cannot have material science without spiritual superscience, and vice versa.
It's explicitly stated that the more developed science becomes, the more active superstition will become. Because science will eventually end up proving that superstition is actually super science.
Yes.
And the more powerful superstition becomes, the more it forces science to expand its scope to try and understand it.
Exactly.
So does this suggest that our constant societal friction, the endless arguments between scientific materialism and spiritual belief, isn't a problem we need to solve, but a literal structural necessity keeping human reality from collapsing?
That is the profound implication here. The tension isn't a bug in human civilization. It is the load-bearing framework.
Wow.
Science finds it impossible to eliminate superstition, and superstition finds it impossible to eliminate science. They constrain each other specifically so they can move forward together in perfect, absolute zero tension.
And guiding this entire delicate zero-sum game, operating the infinite large universe, is the consciousness of the greatest creator.
It's a staggeringly heavy concept.
It is. But understanding this complex, zero-sum, Taiji-shaped washing machine of a universe isn't just an abstract thought experiment. There is a deeply practical, deeply personal application for you, the listener, navigating your own life.
Because the entire purpose of understanding the universe through this specific lens is to build the correct life concept.
Right.
If you fully grasp the mechanics of the negative universe, the mysteries of everyday life dissolve. You can face daily suffering and ultimately the prospect of death peacefully.
Because death isn't a termination, it's just the roller coaster hitting the long axis. It's simply moving from the positive to the negative universe.
Yes.
By refining yourself and focusing on spiritual self-improvement, you can aim for higher existential realms. The 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium world.
And this requires completely dismantling our rigid human concept of distance and time. To our physical bodies, traversing hundreds of thousands of light years seems impossible. But remember, space and time are illusions of the positive universe.
Right.
For the spiritual body, distance is entirely irrelevant.
Think about the Cape of Good Hope in Africa. A few hundred years ago, the journey from the Cape to San Francisco felt unimaginably, terrifyingly far. It was a months-long voyage where you might die at sea.
It was a massive undertaking.
Today, you can fly there in 2 days or connect with someone there instantly on a video call. For a spiritual body, traveling through the cosmos is just as instantaneous. You can step out of your physical confines and reach galaxies far away in a thought.
The framework pushes this even further. Spiritual bodies, what are termed celestial beings, can follow the time axis backward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they can travel seamlessly through time-space to visit deceased friends or witness past events. Because time is not a physical barrier, it's just another dimension of the anti-world to navigate.
So what does this all mean for your Tuesday morning commute? The ultimate conclusion here is that the grand limitless order of the universe is your true home.
Exactly.
Earth is just a tiny, fleeting coordinate. It is a temporary hotel. So imagine checking into a slightly messy Airbnb for a weekend getaway.
Yeah.
If the wallpaper is peeling, or the faucet has a slight drip, or the neighbors are a bit loud, you don't have an existential meltdown.
Hopefully not.
Right. You don't try to tear down the walls and renovate the place. You just observe it, shrug, and enjoy your weekend because you know you are going back to your real home on Sunday.
It fundamentally recontextualizes human suffering. I mean, if your true self is eternal, residing primarily in the negative universe, and this physical life is just a brief, necessary rotation through the fast lane of the positive universe, your daily anxieties lose their crushing weight.
They really do.
You stop fighting the current. You become a peaceful observer of your temporary stay in the hotel, fully aware that you will eventually check out and return to your eternal state.
It is a massive, mind-bending journey we've just unpacked today. We started by trading cold vacuums for a universe shaped like swirling eggs, driven by the magnetic stators of a cosmic motor.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We explored the fluid dynamics of the short axis and the terrifying kalpas where planets stall on the long axis. We looked at the fragile, noise-canceling balance between the tangible science of the positive universe and the eternal superscience of the negative universe. And it all leads to the realization that, under these rules, we are just eternal guests briefly checking into a physical hotel.
And to leave you with one final lingering thread to pull on regarding your stay in this hotel.
Oh, please do.
The architecture insists that the material world is merely a shadow, a reflection of the eternal negative universe. It also states that our spiritual bodies will eventually be able to travel seamlessly backward and forward along the time axis.
Right.
Well, if both of those concepts hold true within this framework, it raises the profound question: does that mean the physical lives we're currently agonizing over have, in a sense, already happened?
Oh, wow.
Are we just sitting in a cosmic movie theater, rewatching a film from the narrow perspective of the characters, entirely forgetting that the eternal part of us already knows exactly how the movie ends?
That is a thought that will absolutely keep you awake tonight. Think about that the next time you look up at the night sky and feel the spin of the cosmic washing machine. Keep mulling over your place in the Taiji Oval, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.